women and girls centers, safe space. So how are you going to support them? Of course, in most of the states where this mode of and girls are being collected in the sense of protection. And we found that they're not supported, they're not given like they are not facilities, they are not
Yeah, any other question? I can address them all at once. Okay. No question. Yeah, thanks for the question about the still a big challenge. But we also know that already portions of internet, especially in the urban areas. And we know that there are instances, for example, on the 8th of March, we actually about how they had to deal with some aspects of internet-related abuses on women, retaliation, relationship retaliation, abuses that have happened and really were really sort of perpetrated against. And those are some of those interventions that we have one of these organizations that is working into seeing this kind of harmful communications and really trying to address them and pulling them down, because that in itself is discouraging the few women that are stepping up trying to use internet for
where activities are really focusing on youth as primary agents, the design during the implementation, and getting them to be part of the monitoring of activities that are implemented for their own benefits. And looks at how youth-friendly access to services, information and opportunity are engaged in are actually. And so when you're talking about access, so we're looking at how youth are better able to access high-quality information, safe. When you're talking about participation, voice in, and are better served by local, national systems through more coordinated and effective services, practices, policies, providing a support to a youth. What are the other barriers that results from the household? And that support must incorporate and sort of reach out to the household. And as I'm thinking about, go through this cyclical process that I am to become a fully engaged. On? Okay.
Because I believe that when the strategy is in place, there are some key aspects that need to be standardized. First of all, I had a discussion with my team on the difference between equality and equity. I see people using equality, gender equality, and in the new strategy, are we using gender equality? are you using gender equity? We had a very long session on that one. I just want to know what is there in the new strategy. Secondly, is on, I see GETC today, JETC, right? And I see JC, and I see JC. So, gender equality, youth, and social inclusion. Gender equity, disability, and social inclusion. Gender equality and social inclusion. So, I mean, different organizations or different IPs use it differently, and also in some of the USAID documents, you see them used differently. So I just want to know, in terms of standardization, what should we do so that when you are writing a document, when you're trying to frame your strategy, when you're trying to engage partners in terms of standards and strategies. The third one is on, I don't want to preempt the presentation they're going to define people with disability. I've just gone through the training manual. Questions. You don't just...
Okay. So gender equity and gender equality. Gender equality. I think, let me start with gender equality. It's, you know, engagements, the opportunities that to benefit as equally, that you're not saying because you're, say, break barriers of what has been entrenched as I am here today because I got all the opportunities to make me be where I am today. Working, I went through education and got all the experiences that I could to get into this. But there's another person that didn't get that opportunity, but we need the person to come to my level. So these analogies of putting a stool and try, and in that putting of the stool to raise that person to my level, what does that mean? What intensive things are you going to help support the person to come so that we can talk about equity? It's like you sort of, equity comes in where one other person is really at a very disadvantaged position, and you want to raise the person to a level of being at the same level. So it's important. So interchangeably, yes, depending on the context that, you know, what you're dealing with. So you use equity and you can use equality. So hope that answers. Jesse. So gender equality and social inclusion. If you go down into defining what are the categories of social inclusion, for us, disability is one of the categories of social inclusion. I think Sija Salam decided to be very deliberate on why they had to put disability outright, because I think their approaches would be really spelling out also engagement on approaches. It's allowed for them to do what they're doing here. So it really depends on how deliberate some an implementing partner want to be. Importantly, that the social inclusion part of it, as a person sitting where I am, I haven't disseminated so much tools on this. We will be doing this. But yes, the Washington group of questions has been relevant. And if other agencies have not been doing that, will be helpful to help in.
For youth, special definition of youth.
So youth, USAID defines youth as from the age of 10 up to 29. But programmatically, we program from standard in the draft youth policy, which is not yet passed. And so, and then different documents talk about 15 to 45, which is really interesting. But because the country does not have really a passed policy, that's like you find us straddling between sort of the age range. But for USAID, please use 10 to 29, and your targeting can be depending on what you really want to. So, thank you. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Turned off. Thank you very much, Munir. We changed the name to try and have something, and again, that was understandable and could be used throughout South Sudan. It's 5 objectives, you can see, are quite long and wordy, but to boil it down, we have our 4 objectives. The first objective, the lion's share of our activity, is on peace building. So we're working on intra and intercommunal issues that are identified with our teams as well as our partners in the 5 counties where we work. The 5 states and 13 counties where we work, and interweaving them. So often our starting point happens peace building activities around that. Have them build their capacities, their policies, the way that they work, their strategies, so that they're able to move along for targeted civil society organizations to be able to increase their capacity so that they'll whether it be from advocacy, gender and equity, it could be a multitude of things. So we're looking at civil society from a twofold, with psychosocial support. And so again, what we're trying to do is we have a community approach. We have a set of master trainers on one side providing access to timely and accurate information, and on the other side as well as helping targeted media houses and provide information in a timely and accurate manner. And then last but not least, and this is where our JEDC tool comes in, Western gives us more funding to be able to do programmatic work. So we have a very small, robust programmatic teams in WOW, Lear, Akobo, anywhere from in-kind support to FAAs, which are deliverable based, and then of course cash reimbursement. And so again, we've had partners already in the 2.5 years who've been able to graduate, if you will, from in-kind and getting more and more advanced along the way and helping them. So it's been pretty robust, and some of them are as small as $10,000 and some of them go up to 100,000 in specialists we are today. So a big thanks to you both, as well as the rest of the teams who've been and partners who've been helping as well. So over to you, Aite.
Okay, thank you very much. Basically a deliberate tool, very simple. We use, if someone is using we had a baseline study, and then we did have USAID South Sudan Strategic Framework 2020-2024. So when we had the 2 studies, issues of gender-based violence, there were gaps in women's participation. So we had recommendations on what to do to address those gaps. So we came up, we had to, so this is the use, they ask these questions when they are developing grants. Women and the persons with disability. So out of these 3 documents, they particularly